Civil War is written and directed by Alex Garland and stars Kirsten Dunst, Nick Offermam, Wagner Mora and Cailee Spaeny. The film centres around a fictional modern-day American Civil War and is a bit of a road trip across a dystopian America with some press photographers who are aiming to get from New York to Washington DC to try and interview the president. And along the way, they encounter lots of different people in different situations, some that are very affected by the Civil War and others that are not. Before we go any further, if you've been watching a few of these videos and you haven't subscribed already, please consider subscribing right now and liking the video. It would help us out a great deal, so thank you very much. Right off the bat, coming out of the cinema, my overall feeling about the film was a positive one. I really enjoyed my time with this film. I thought it was intriguing in its set pieces. I did think it felt a lot different to what the trailer was kind of promising, which was a much more overarching story about the Civil War. It seemed like it might have had more action, or that the focus wasn't necessarily just going to be dialed in on the photographers who were on this journey. However, the film does really focus on these characters, but I myself don't see that as a negative. I actually got a nice surprise from this film and was pleased to see them take time looking at these individual characters who are from different kind of generations. You've got an older guy, Sammy, played by McKinley Henderson, who you may recognize from Dune. And then you've got characters like Kirsten Dunst Lee, who is in her 40s and has a great track history, career, and is well known in the photography world. And then you have someone like Cailee Spaeny's Jesse, who is younger, who is wanting to see more of the world. With those three, you get different levels of knowledge about the world that they're in, different temperaments, different reactions to certain things that they see in the world around them, because it is quite impactful and really scary, but it is also quite confusing. Now, the great thing about it is that Jesse is kind of our eyes into this world. We don't know fully what is going on. However, the film doesn't really explain 100% what is going on, which is kind of a nice thing. We're just landed into the thick of this civil war that has come around through some means, but we don't necessarily know why. However, there are little breadcrumb trails dropped along the way as to who people are, and there are other little nods to different things going on in the world. It doesn't really take sides, the film. It just shows the perspective of these photographers, and I love this angle on it. It's kind of a love letter to the idea of photography, that the camera never lies. You only take what you can from it, and photographers are important in documenting these things as they happen, and it also makes sure to inject them in a way that doesn't take sides. They're taking photos of anyone that they come across, no matter their affiliation. They're just trying to capture the mood of what they're going through in each case. Thing is, with this story, it's kind of a well-trodden path at this stage, this dystopian journey through a world. I've actually just been watching Fallout today, and again, that has a similar tone in going through a dangerous place and trying to make your way through all these really uncertain situations. And I think Civil War does a great job at handling this modern day version of that and what it would feel like to be in that kind of civil war. But those moments that happen really don't have much of an interconnectivity between them, which is where I feel some people will criticize that this film lacks, and I do too a little bit. It doesn't have any follow-on. However, it's more realistic because of that. Not all stories are going to have these threads when you're driving through state to state and you're seeing different states of a civil war, and some are affected by it and some are not, or some have a very skewed moral view of the world, and then you get to certain situations where it's full-on war and other situations where there are little skirmishes and things happening between local militia and some forces, and so you get a real mix-up. And I think every little section has its own little story to tell. The thing is, there's one particular set piece that stands out above the rest, even though they all are pretty good and interesting. The moment with Jesse Plemons is probably the best moment of the film. The tension is really heightened here, and he delivers such an amazing performance, and it's literally there for less than 5 minutes, but it has a massive impact on the film, and you realize that there are people who are just going along with the Civil War or trying to ignore it, but then they're the ones, they've taken this opportunity to push their skewed moral view on the world and have it their way. And Jesse Plemons is just this really dangerous character in this moment. It's so palpable, it's a really great scene, and it has a great payoff at the end as well. It's a little convenient, but I think it tracks and works really, really well. There are a number of things that I didn't like about the film. One, there are certain scenes where I felt there was more they could build on. There's a scene at a gas station where it just seems to end, and it's kind of weird. I thought they were going to do more with that, but it just cuts to the next shot and we're suddenly out of that situation. I found that quite jarring. Music choices are a bit jarring. I think they're a bit odd and quirky, and you know when films use quirky music and you think, oh, this is kind of quirky but it works. This is quirky but it doesn't really work. I think though the casting here is really spot on, and it's really enjoyable to watch Kirsten Dunst, who I haven't seen in a film for a long time. She plays the kind of character that I've never seen her play before, and she does it really well. You believe in her. She's quite stroppy, but then she's also world weary, and it's really quite good, but it is very light of touch. This is quite a short film actually, in my opinion, and so it doesn't have as much time to kind of develop these things. And there are quite a lot of focus pulls on different characters throughout the film. I think if we'd spent a bit more time on the Lee and Jesse side of things, I would have gotten a bit more out of this. But that aside, I think it works, and it's just an enjoyable film. It was nice to go on this ride. It was one of those films that hits a touch point that is rare these days. It's a subject matter that is in the forefront of people's minds because of the recent history we've been going through, and a lot of people saying, oh, does this take political sides? It doesn't at all. It just paints an interesting picture of what a modern civil war could look like. Does it cover all the bases that you want to? No, it doesn't. But does it tell a compelling story about photographers and the media? It speaks to the importance of media, love them or hate them. Taking photographs of historical events is an important part of our lives. At the end of the day, I go to the cinema to enjoy watching a story, and if it's palatable and has a good message within it, I think Civil War does. I enjoyed myself. I'm not sure I'd ever go and watch it again. Maybe I will. The thread that runs through the story is really compelling despite this Civil War thing going on. It's not this big bombastic Hollywood, oh, we have to save this and we have to do that. It just observes and has a tiny bit of a Hollywood ending, but it's not the one you expect, and I enjoyed it for that aspect. So Civil War actually gets a thumbs up from me. I enjoyed this. It was a good time. So yeah, that's Civil War. Whatever your opinion on Civil War, please let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.